South Africa is heading toward a political and social collision, and the warnings are becoming louder. The March and March movement has now escalated its demands dramatically, calling for a national state of emergency, mass deportations of undocumented foreign nationals, the suspension of refugee applications, and even warning government that June 30th could become a turning point for the country. But what is now causing even more alarm is the growing fear that South Africa may be approaching a dangerous confrontation between angry communities, desperate migrants, and the state itself. Welcome back to the channel.
So what we're dealing with here is a government that is itching for violence. I think for them it's an opportunity to test their powers, because if they wanted to deal with crime and deal with violence and deal with all the problems that we have in the country, all that excitement that they have, they could have used it right now. We're dealing with a lot of crimes and criminals and organized crimes, but I've never seen them so excited to unleash the military. So if our demands are not met, we'll see. 96. 30 years later, we look back with so much mixed feelings. What has democracy and freedom done for us as South Africans? Are we really free? And if not, what must we do as South Africans? The preamble of the Constitution clearly expresses the wishes of our people. In its preamble, it states that we therefore, through our freely elected representatives, adopt the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic, so as to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. Lay the foundations for a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law. Improve the quality of life of all citizens and a free potential of each person, and build a nation, united and democratic South Africa, able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. South Africans have been saying to government, this freedom has not brought back our land. We still do not own the means of production. The aspirations of the ordinary South African people remain a pipe dream never to be realized. Since March and March was established in 2025, we have seen hundreds of anti-illegal immigration protests, emphasizing anti-illegal immigration protests because we get a lot of media people not being able to state it correctly. A clarion call on government to enforce the existing laws and amend some of the laws, including the Constitution. We have noted that many lazy thinkers who have labeled this progressive and patriotic movement as xenophobic have portrayed March and March, together with other progressive civil society movements and groups, as vigilante groups, and we will soon attend to such sentiments. We have started to take legal action against some media houses who have blatantly misled the public, calling us names, accusing us of being on the payroll of certain people and government. This war against illegal immigration will not stop because some in the media don't like it, or they're married to people who are not South African, or government feels uncomfortable when we fight. We will fight until the last illegal immigrant leaves our country.
The anti-illegal immigration movement, known as March and March, is once again dominating national debate after leader Jacinta Zuma intensified pressure on government during a major briefing in Umhlanga, KwaZulu-Natal. And this time, the message was far more aggressive. Zuma declared that South Africa is on the verge of collapse and blamed weak immigration enforcement, porous borders, unemployment, crime, and failures inside government institutions for what she described as a growing national crisis. According to the movement, government has failed ordinary South Africans for years, and now they believe the country is reaching breaking point. The movement is demanding several drastic interventions, among them a complete halt to refugee application processing, mass deportations of undocumented foreign nationals, a state of emergency focused on illegal immigration, and stronger border enforcement.
We demand that the sovereignty of our country be protected. South Africa is currently being invaded. South Africans have become refugees in their own country, while tuck-shop mafias do as they please. Our government is very good and condemns South Africans for fighting for their own country. That's as far as it goes. The likes of Minister Ronald Lamola, who finds it fashionable to call March and March a vigilante group, a reckless statement that is baseless and is without merit. He forgets to tell us that to date, Bushiri is still not back in South Africa, and he could not even denounce white genocide when he was given a chance to go and do so at the White House. But today he has Dutch courage to insult South Africans. South Africans are not xenophobic, nor are they violent. They have been patient with the government for far too long, and foreign nationals have abused our mercy and kindness, and it ends now. We know that we are the voice of the voiceless, the unemployed, the drug addicts, the women who are raped and trafficked every day from this country by foreign nationals, and we now say enough is enough. We have noted the energy that politicians, particularly those in government, have for calling for the state to unleash the brutality of the state on us, for demanding what belongs to us. Why do we not see the same energy against the criminal cartels that we already know we have in the country? Not once have we had government calling out Nigerians for selling drugs in South Africa and destroying the future of this country. And just yesterday, we were watching them on another episode of Sizokuthola, telling us that the ground is fertile for crime in this country. Yet we have not heard government calling them out. We have not heard government calling out Somalians and the people of Pakistan and Ethiopians and telling them to dismantle the cartels that they are running in our country, as well as the spaza shop mafias. We are aware that the executive is planning to unleash the army on us in June, yet they have dismally failed to remove the illegal immigrants from our shores. The prioritization of foreign nationals in South Africa is deeply appalling. South Africa is currently on the verge of a collapse. The economy is crumbling, there are no resources left for South Africans, and there's certainly not enough resources for foreign nationals. We therefore cannot allow this to continue while our people continue to suffer. The government has, in the 2026-2027 financial year, budgeted and allocated 292.8 billion rands for social grants. This confirms that many South Africans are dependent on social grants, which highlights the scale of urgency of the problem, because South Africa is a welfare state. Majority of foreign nationals that are in South Africa are not real refugees. These are economic migrants who have and continue to abuse our laws. They have taken over the informal economy, colluded with Home Affairs officials in creating fraudulent documents to bring their countrymen into our country. Our township economy has been hijacked by Somalians and foreign nationals from Pakistan and Ethiopia. In Durban alone, over 340 permits have been given to foreign nationals to operate in the Durban CBD as we sit here currently. The strain in our public facilities is getting out of hand, with the departments such as health, education, and social development struggling to service South Africans properly because they end up having to service a lot more foreign nationals than they should. The underfunding of the BMA is also a grave concern to us, and that requires urgent intervention. It is pointless to fund the Department of Labour so that they can employ 10,000 inspectors when your borders are wide open. This is poor planning from the government, because those 10,000 inspectors should be assisting the only 800 immigration officers that we have in the entire country. We have noted hundreds of thousands of migrants coming to our country as tourists and then end up as refugees and business people, as well as criminals or even employers. The time has come for government now to close the tap and deport all of these immigrants. We do not want to see illegal immigrants working for Checkers 6060 coming to our homes to deliver our food, as this is not a critical or scarce skill. These jobs must be reserved only for South Africans in order for us to win the war against inequality and poverty. There must be a stringent system and laws that prevent drug lords from Nigeria to access our country as they please. This has been going on for far too long, with them even having places that they've taken over and they dominate, making it no-go areas for South Africa. And it is now a time that it comes to an end. The government needs to decide which side they are going to take. Will they stand with South Africans, or are they going to stand with these criminal syndicates? We have noted the irresponsible actions of Home Affairs and the municipality of pulling the wool over the faces of South Africans when we know that there is no way that immigration officers can screen 457 immigrants in less than 3 hours, when ordinarily it takes a whole day to screen one immigrant. We are not going to surrender. South Africa is our home and we have nowhere to go, and we will fight for the rights of South Africans here in South Africa. Going back to the township economy contributes approximately 900 billion into the GDP of this country. This contribution is now shrinking due to the hijacking of our economy. The number of drug addicts has skyrocketed over the past few years, and the government has done nothing to turn around the situation. Even those famous NGOs that are now rushing to save the refugees are nowhere to be seen when it's time to help South Africans who are destitute and in need. We want to thank South Africans for chasing their country, for protecting their country. We have seen them rising from each and every corner, taking to the streets and on social media, fighting for their country every single day. And we call upon every single South African who's passionate and loves their country not to stop fighting until the end, because in the end, we will win, and very soon. We call upon professionals, churches, influencers, progressive politicians, traditional leaders, and every single South African to rise and take to the streets to clean our towns, save our children, and not rest until the end, until we win. We have a few demands that we have listed that we would like to put to our government. We call upon the government to stop granting and processing of all refugee applications within 14 days until the state has come up with an interim solution pending the process currently underway in respect of the white paper. Because currently there's no need for them to keep handing out refugee statuses when they know that their house is not in order. We call for the immediate and massive deportation of all illegal immigrants currently living in the country. And if they can force them to pay for their way back home, it'll ensure that they don't keep coming back. We call for the amendments of the law to enable the BMA to operate inland, because for us it makes no sense to say that the people that are allowing the people to come in and know how long they should be staying in the country are not allowed to come into the country and take them out when their time has expired. We demand for the transfer of all immigration officers to BMA and for this to be legislated, and of course for the increase in the number of immigration officers in the country, because 800 really is a ridiculous number. We call for the urgent transfer of all border police to BMA, because currently what is happening, SAPS and BMA and SANDF are not working together at the borders to make sure that they are able to stop people from coming into the country.
Ngobi Zuma also raised concerns about what she called the underfunding of the Border Management Authority. According to her, South Africa cannot protect its sovereignty if borders remain weak while millions of citizens struggle with unemployment, poverty, crime, and collapsing public services. But perhaps the most explosive part of her remarks came when she accused government itself of escalating tensions. She claimed authorities are itching for violence. And then came the warning that immediately triggered backlash online. If government does not meet the movement's demands, they will see. That statement has now sparked serious concern across the country. Critics argue the language sounds dangerously close to political intimidation. Others fear it could inflame tensions already building in several provinces, because over recent months, South Africa has witnessed growing anti-illegal immigration protests in Durban, Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, and other areas. Some marches remained peaceful. Others quickly became chaotic. Businesses were targeted. Foreign nationals fled communities. Police deployed riot units. And social media became flooded with anger, fear, nationalism, and accusations of xenophobia. But March insists it is not xenophobic. The movement repeatedly argues that it is demanding law enforcement, not violence. Supporters say the government has ignored ordinary South Africans for too long. They point to unemployment figures above 30%, youth unemployment nearing crisis levels, overcrowded clinics, housing shortages, crime, and growing frustration inside poor communities. For them, illegal immigration has become symbolic of state failure, and they believe politicians only respond when pressure reaches extreme levels. That is why the movement has now given government a deadline, June 30th. According to Ngobi's Zuma, undocumented foreign nationals should voluntarily leave South Africa before then. Otherwise, the movement warns of a possible national shutdown. And suddenly, the situation is becoming even more politically dangerous, because now the conversation is no longer just about immigration. It is becoming a direct challenge to state authority itself, especially after Ngobi's Zuma claimed Defense Minister Angie Motshekga warned that the SANDF could potentially be deployed if tensions escalate around June 30th. That statement immediately intensified fears online. Some interpreted it as proof government expects unrest. Others accused authorities of preparing for confrontation instead of addressing public frustrations. And now, South Africa finds itself trapped in a deeply explosive debate. On one side, citizens demanding stricter immigration enforcement, border control, and economic protection. On the other, human rights organizations warning that anti-migrant rhetoric could trigger violence against innocent people. Groups defending refugees and asylum seekers argue that undocumented migration is being used as a scapegoat for deeper systemic failures. They point to corruption, economic stagnation, political mismanagement, failing municipalities, and state capture. Critics argue migrants did not create South Africa's unemployment crisis, nor did they collapse Eskom, nor did they loot municipalities, nor did they destroy infrastructure. But supporters of March and March argue that government's inability to control immigration has made existing crises even worse. And that frustration is now exploding into the streets. What makes the situation even more dangerous is how emotionally charged the issue has become. Communities feel abandoned. Migrants feel targeted. Police are under pressure. Politicians are divided. And social media has become a battlefield of anger, fear, and nationalism. Some South Africans openly support the movement. Others believe it risks pushing the country toward instability.
But then when it comes to what would we do if our demands are not met, I think first of all it would be very disappointing for a government to try to go against its people. I think that would be the first. I'd be shocked that our government continues to want to go against the people. But on top of that, as we had promised, we're seeing a lot of people talk about the 30th of June as though they're waiting for some Holocaust to happen. And Umamu Angie is even blatant about the SANDF and the role that they're going to play. But for us, it's not going to go in the direction that they think, because we know how much they've been craving to use us as posters for violence and xenophobia, even when there's no violence they created in their heads. It was even so bad that even the Minister of Police was claiming that the people of Ghana experienced some violence, and when we sent a message to him, we didn't get a response of who are these people from Ghana. An entire Minister of Police issued a statement saying that.
Meanwhile, government appears trapped between competing pressures. If authorities ignore the movement, public anger may grow stronger. But if government appears to surrender to hardline demands, South Africa risks international backlash and deeper accusations of xenophobia. And this is why the coming weeks may become extremely critical, because beneath the political slogans, beneath the marches, beneath the speeches, there is a much deeper crisis unfolding. A crisis of trust. Millions of South Africans no longer trust government institutions to protect jobs, borders, public services, or economic opportunities. And once public trust collapses, movements like March and March become far more powerful. Not necessarily because everyone agrees with them, but because frustration creates fertile ground for radical demands. That is why many analysts are now warning government to take the situation seriously before tensions spiral further. Because history has already shown how quickly anti-immigration anger can turn deadly in South Africa. The country witnessed major xenophobic violence in 2008, again in 2015, again in 2019. Lives were lost, businesses destroyed, communities divided, and the scars never fully healed. Now, South Africa may once again be approaching another dangerous crossroads. And the biggest fear is this: if economic desperation, political frustration, and immigration tensions continue colliding, who will ultimately control what happens next? The government, the streets, or movements that believe the state has already failed completely? As June 30th approaches, the pressure is rising. The warnings are growing louder, and millions of South Africans are watching closely to see whether this becomes a moment of reform or the beginning of something far more dangerous.